Forgotten Sunrise. Chapter 4. There's another unicorn in my house. Sunset slowly woke up, hearing the shrill beeping of the alarm clock next to her. An amber hoof came out from the top corner of the blanket and swiftly tapped to the top of it, returning the room to a near silence. Save for the morning tide, seagulls, and...
sizzling?
She swung her hind legs over to the edge and got out of bed, and was fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of herself in the mirror, before she went to open the door, finding that she had quite the bedhead. She wondered if she had looked like that from her few hours in the sleeping bag too. She turned to her chest at the foot of the bed and pulled out a brush. Trotting over to the mirror, she ran the brush through her mane and tail, getting herself presentable in a couple of minutes. She was also wondering about the appearance of her horn. It was now a bone white, instead of being covered by the felt-like coat in the same color as the rest of it. It didn't seem to affect its performance, though. Finding herself acceptable, she returned the brush to her chest, closed the lid, and then made her way to the door. She took a breath, then opened it and stepped out into the hall, where the sizzling sounds coming from the main room was now joined by an inviting smell. Walking down the hallway, she found Sunny standing in front of the stove with a cast-iron pan, who turned her head at the sound of hoofsteps.
Good morning, Sunset. Have a good night?
The Earth Pony asked.
Yeah, thank you. Something smells great.
The Unicorn replied.
Thanks. Breakfast will be ready shortly. Hope you like pancakes. I guess some things never change. Pancakes sound fantastic.
Sunset commented, as she sat down at the table, remembering quite a few pancake breakfasts. Not just in the castle with Celestia, but also with her friends in the Mirror World. Sunny was getting the pancakes plated up when there was a knock at the front door, followed by it opening a moment later and the unicorn from yesterday popped in. Sunset tried to recall her name.
Izzy, right? Good morning, Sunny.
Izzy greeted enthusiastically.
Morning.
Came the reply from not one, but two ponies, and the Earth Pony gave the Amber Unicorn a curious glance. Sunset's cheeks tinted red.
I was afraid of that eventually. Sunny has been an occasional pet name of mine.
Sunset admitted, as she began twiddling her front hooves in embarrassment, as Izzy came over to sit down at the dining table as well.
Honest enough mistake,
Sunny offered, returning her attention to the pancakes. A couple of minutes later, she came to the table with 3 plates stacked with pancakes, and went to the fridge to return with a pitcher of orange juice.
So?
Sunny began, cutting into her serving of breakfast.
Now that we've all had a good night's sleep, we can finally, hopefully, start to clear some things up for you. Ooh, do you have your 142 questions for Unicorn?
Izzy asked, taking her first bite, with Sunset's eyes widening. Sunny chuckled.
No, a lot of those have actually been answered by now. But, from what I've gathered from Twilight's journal, you're Sunset Shimmer. And you were Princess Celestia's student before she was, if I remember correctly?
Sunny asked. Sunset nodded.
For just a little over 4 years. I jumped into that magic mirror after she removed me from my position as her student and banished me from the castle. Back then, I was hell-bent on revenge.
Sunset told them. The trip down memory lane wasn't exactly pleasant, but she figured that her hosts deserved to know as much about her as they wanted, especially if her era was as far gone as they believed.
What's on the other side?
Izzy asked.
A parallel universe, but it's mainly inhabited by bipedal creatures called humans instead of ponies.
Sunset answered.
So how long were you over there for?
Sunny asked, writing down Sunset's answers as she gave them in the newest page of her journal.
Just under 4 years. I enrolled at a high school. A statue base on the front entrance was the other side of the portal. Wait, a high school? How old are you?
Sunny asked.
28.
Sunset muttered.
I know, it sounds weird. I guess I looked the part, but I think I needed that kind of experience. When I was that young, I wasn't the slightest bit interested in making friends, and for the first year, I still wasn't. I wanted to create and control cliques of students, and I was pretty good at it. Then, at the beginning of my second year over there, I returned through the mirror to steal Princess Twilight's magical crown. I was successful, but she caught me in the act, and chased me through the portal and eventually got it back. After that, I started to change my ways. It took me most of my second year to make amends for how nasty I was during my first year. But when equestrian magic kept seeping through to that world, both from the statue portal and other sources, I was the only one who had any kind of expertise on it.
Sunny furiously wrote down Sunset's explanation as they ate.
So, why did you come back?
Sunny asked, looking back up at her.
Nothing seemed to stem the flow of magic, so knowing that me and my friends were graduating, the principal warned me that they were going to be building a sarcophagus of sorts around the statue base to seal the portal away, and that if I wanted a guaranteed way home, I would have to go right after graduation. It was the only sure way that she would be able to protect the school and its students once we were no longer there.
Sunset paused to take another bite of syrup-covered pancakes.
I had been periodically homesick for the better part of 2 years, but at the same time, I didn't want to stomach the thought of leaving the friends who had done so much to help turn myself around. So, for most of my fourth year, I didn't think about it. I considered staying over there. Then, with only weeks to go before graduation, my counterpart showed up, the Sunset Shimmer from over in that world. Right then, I knew I couldn't stay over there without seriously screwing up cosmic balances or whatever. So, I packed up what I believed was safe to bring over and came back through after heartfelt goodbyes. Princess Twilight had offered me the position of Archmage in her courts, but it's pretty obvious that isn't happening now.
She took another bite of pancakes.
You said that you and your dad have been researching my era? Is he here? Your dad?
Sunset asked.
My dad is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago.
Sunny said, her expression turning somber for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The unicorn offered in reply.
It's alright. I'm sure he'd be proud of everything we've accomplished and still accomplishing. I'm just amazed that Princess Twilight's castle is covered by the Everfree Forest and Ponyville's gone, and not some shimmering beacon of unity.
Sunset commented.
Well, about that, unity is something Equestria hasn't heard of in generations. My activism didn't make me too many friends in town, and it wasn't until Izzy showed up until we decided to go off and find out what had happened to cause the races to split.
Sunny said.
Hard to imagine the Pegasi taking Canterlot from the unicorns. Unless they didn't have magic.
Sunset replied.
That's probably exactly what happened. Sunny found a letter from a Princess Flurryhearts in the Crystal Empire that claimed the city of clouds came down on Canterlot, followed by a lot of unrest. Unicorns couldn't use magic, Pegasi couldn't fly, and the Earth Ponies had to work incredibly hard to farm enough food for everyone.
Izzy offered.
We just came back from the Crystal Empire, and I think they did something up there. Something to stop the supernatural world enders called Wendigos. I think in order to do that, they had to remove magic from everywhere in Equestria, and it cost them the city. It's nothing but a frozen wasteland all the way out there. So, Sunny, I take it you're some kind of historian or archaeologist?
Sunset asked, finishing the last of her pancakes. The Earth Pony nodded.
I help run a museum downtown. If you want me to show you what we've gathered, that can be arranged. If you want to meet me downtown at around 5:30?
Sunny offered, sliding a pamphlet across the table to her.
I think I'd like that, thanks.
Sunset replied.
Until then, I think I'll take your advice. Take it easy, and go see about getting a terrarium for Ray, along with some food for him for the next few days. Oh, feel free to use the card out front. I'm not using it today.
Sunny replied. Sunset finished her glass of orange juice in a couple more gulps, then took it, her plates, and silverware over to the sink, rinsing them off and setting them aside to be washed.
And to be clear, if I'm staying here for the time being, don't hit me with the guest nonsense. I'll cook, clean, and do my part.
Sunset told her.
So, 5:30 by the Maritime Bay Museum of History?
Sunset asked, after she had unfurled the map and looked at it for a moment.
That's the one.
Sunny replied.
Alright, see you then.
Sunset said, heading for the front door.
Oh, I almost forgot. Here.
Sunny said, tossing her spare key towards the unicorn, who caught it with her magic.
Izzy and I are headed out for breakfast, so we probably won't be here when you get back with your things for Ray. Oh, and here.
Sunny tossed her a small bag containing 100 bits.
Before you say anything, I'm sure any ancient currency you've brought with you is worth more than that.
Thanking them, pocketing the key and bit bag in her saddlebags, Sunset Shimmer exited through the front door. A moment later, they heard the wheels of a cart roll down the front walk.
I don't get it, Sunny. Unloading the truck at Canterlogic isn't going to take that long. Why are you making her wait until this evening? Doesn't the museum close at 5?
Izzy asked, and Sunny nodded.
I think a private viewing of the Guardians of Harmony Wing is more appropriate in this case, Izzy. These are places she's been, and ponies she's talked to as recently as 2 days ago. At least in her time frame. Things might get a little heavy for her when she sees all of that, and I'd rather not have her surrounded by other patrons if that happens.
Man, that's gotta be pretty awkward if you visit a museum and next thing you know, you just see someone randomly crying in front of a display case. Oh, poor Sunset. Anywho, let's get on to our resilient donators. Top donators Bob Cat-gjf, Zar630, Jade Sinman, Only One Thing, Ceru Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rolan, Stu Hex, Sword Brethren, Mordred, Omicron Lyrae, Will Chris, Twinkie, Ride Soul, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi88, Chancellor Crust, Big Smoke 369, and many more awesome people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.